Hi there, I am Stacy Schaefer, and my husband's name is Kevin Schaefer. So I am originally from Nebraska, but we both went to college in Kansas City area in Kansas at Mid-America Nazarene University. And we didn't know each other at school, but we ended up having mutual friends, and many years after college we were dating. And I was teaching in Kansas, and he was living in Indiana. He was farming. And so we had dated for quite a while, and then we kind of talked about marriage, but I had no idea that anything was happening in terms of a proposal or engagement. And so I was teaching one day, I think it was a Friday, and I went, I had to go to my principal's office, not because I was in trouble, but because she wanted to do an evaluation for me. So during my kids' special class, they had Spanish that day, I went into her office and we had an evaluation to talk about how I was doing as a teacher, and if I had any questions, and if I needed anything from her. And she was even kind of asking me some questions about Kevin and saying, so do you really like this guy? Do you think you could maybe get married? What do you think? So I walked out of her room and I was heading to my classroom, and I walked into my room and my students were giggling. And they were giggling so hard. And so they were second grade, so they were about 7 and 8 years old. They were just giggling and giggling. And to be honest with you, they normally didn't like Spanish. They didn't understand it very well, and it was hard for them. And so it was one of those things that they struggled with. So I was wondering, why are you giggling after Spanish? So I walked to the front of the room and I thanked the Spanish teacher for coming. And I started a new lesson, and all of a sudden, in walks Mr. Kevin into my room with a beautiful black suit and tie, and he had a huge vase of red roses. And then all of these other women start coming behind him. All of the teachers that I had taught with, the principal was there, some of the aides were there, and they were just standing behind him. And he came up to me and he got down on one knee and he asked me to marry him. And I was shocked. I was so stunned. I didn't even really know what was going on. I kept saying, what are you doing here? Because he wasn't supposed to be there. We weren't going to see each other until spring break the next week. And he told me later on that I never even told him yes. You know, that I gave him a big hug and he put the ring on my finger, but I had never even said yes. So then after he put the ring on my finger, which here is my ring, Miss Cindy wanted you to see it. I was just so excited, but I was just stunned. I didn't know what was going on. And so then one at a time, my students came up to me and they each handed me a heart that they had cut out themselves and they had decorated. So while I was in the principal's office with my principal, Kevin had been in my classroom with my kids during Spanish class, and he had told them who he was, and he had told them that he was going to propose to me that day, and he said, I really want you as her students to be a part of this. And so he said, do you think that right now during Spanish class that you could cut out some hearts and put some special notes on these hearts for Miss Miller? That was my name at the time. And then he told them what was going to happen, and then after I proposed, you'll come up one at a time in classroom order and give her your heart, and you can give her a hug, you can do whatever you want. And so that's what we did. Every single student came up to me and they gave me their heart and they gave me huge hugs, and some of them gave Mr. Kevin a high five, and then we took a whole huge class picture when we were done. And then after that, I was just kind of, what's going on? I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. My fiance of that time was right there, and my students were right there, and we had to finish the end of the day, and my principal came up to me and she said, "You've just had a lot of excitement. I think it's time that you and Kevin get to go. Why don't you just go and enjoy and celebrate, and I'll take care of your class for the rest of the day." So that's kind of our story. It's a fun one. My husband did a phenomenal job. He really thought about me, and he thought about how important my students were to me, and he included them in that. So that's kind of our story. So if you see Mr. Kevin sometime around church, give him a high five because he did a good job. Have a nice day. Bye.